What's up, everybody, and welcome to the Praise Podcast. My name is Eric, and it's good to be here. It's good to be with you all. Of course, the co-host above any other co-host is in the house, the Brooke Paninsky.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Mm-hmm. And we are ready for another great podcast, and we are ready to hang out with you all for a little bit. Before we get into it, let's cover the housekeeping things that we always do.
This is your favorite part.
This is the part this is really my only part. This is the only part I know that you don't want to do, and you allow me to do. And so I have to take it and I have to own it. So yeah, welcome. We're glad you're here. You found us on YouTube. You know what they should do, Brooke?
What?
They should subscribe.
Yeah, please.
I believe all the young people say smash that subscribe button.
Well, we're not that young, so maybe we shouldn't say that. But you were the one saying the other day, if we get 100 subscribers, it unlocks other things we can do.
It does.
On our page or something.
Yeah.
So that's my personal goal.
Yeah.
My personal bold goal is 100. Our first 100 subscribers on our YouTube page.
I don't fully know what it unlocks. It's but it's
we don't know, but I want to know.
Yeah, but we want to know.
Yeah.
And I know that it's out there. So
let's try
how about you all help us get to 100 subscribers on YouTube, and then we'll see what we'll find out together what prize, what level we unlock on to level 2. But yeah, so we thank you for finding us on YouTube. If you're listening on the audio side of things, welcome as well.
Yeah.
You can always find this podcast on all major audio platforms. And so whether you're watching us, and if you're on the audio side and you've yet to realize that you could be joining us on YouTube and see our smiling faces, then here is the cue.
You can watch the banter take place.
Watch the chaos now take place. So if you wanna pause the audio podcast and come hang with us on YouTube, we're there now, and
it's amazing.
And you can see us. And specifically today, I'm not wearing a black hoodie, and
that's
so
very good of you.
Yeah, I've realized from our first two that.
People thought, does he have any other clothes?
People have literally, one person, what did it is one person texted, I got confused that I was watching the first episode because you were wearing the same thing. And then
Brooke went and had a wardrobe change, and we came right back in the studio to record this.
Yeah.
And you didn't. Oh, that's so funny.
So I thought, that might be, they might be saying
that's
something
really
there.
funny.
So
I
anyways, there's that. But yeah, thank you for listening. We have a website now too, thepraisepodcast.com. So you can go there and find, what kind of stuff can they find, Brooke?
Yeah, the website I'm very proud of because I got to kind of help make that and build that. That was really fun. The website's really cool because it has just our short little bios for people who just come across us really fast and don't really know who we are, what we're about, or what the Praise Podcast is. And so it kind of gives you a quick glimpse. It gives you a quick way to access our emails for you to join the conversation with these episodes that you listen to. And then I also love, my favorite part of that is our favorites. So yes, we've got merch on there, which is really cool. If you didn't know that, check that out. But our favorites page are genuinely our favorite things. And I always feel silly to be we don't get sponsored. LOL. We literally don't get sponsored. That's crazy.
No,
these are truly just our favorite things that we love.
What a missed opportunity.
One day maybe. I don't know. I don't feel like I'm missing much, but I also feel like I have to say that. So these are just genuinely our favorite things. And so from books we're reading, other podcasts we listen to all the time, just resources for study tools, all of our favorite things. Then a lot of times we referenced or have referenced in past episodes, and before we've thought that was kind of a missing component. And so when we went on to this, season 4 and all these new additions, it was cool to be able to have a landing place to put all our recommendations. We've been talking about that book, Praying Like Monks, Living Like Fools. And it's just it's on our website as one of our favorites, and you can click it, go to the Amazon link, buy it yourself, read it with us. And I just think that's a really cool way to keep everybody involved and interactive? Question mark. I don't know.
Interacting.
Yeah, we can go with that one. Yeah. Interacting with what we're doing in these conversations.
Wow, that was an easy word that we both.
Yeah, it's
that
okay.
one shouldn't have stumped us quite as much as it did.
It's all right. To each their own.
And then did you talk about merch? Our merch?
Kind of, sort of. Yeah, we have merch. It's really great.
It is cool too.
Yeah.
I ordered my merch and I need to reorder it.
It's good. And we got our winners, most of 2 or 3 winners.
Yeah.
Got their stuff or getting their stuff. It's really cool. So anyways, yep, that's up.
And of course on Instagram.
Yes, Instagram. We're terrible at Instagram.
You know,
I've got to figure it out, but it's just not a gift that I have. I know I talk about this a lot, but thanks for hanging out with us on Instagram, even though like I'm very bad at Instagram, and we both are on the account, so it's also really funny. Like we both have very like any reel you see, like that's literally Eric and his captioning, whatever, and then like all the pre-building of that for launch was just all like me and my voice and like my graphics or whatever, and it's just so funny. Like it all meshes because it's us and it meshes, but like. It's just you can totally still tell, but I love that. I love that you can tell who
writes the caption.
But like,
for sure.
I think that's so great. I think it's so cool that like you have 2 voices, even reflected on like social media on our Instagram page, which is really cool. But anyways, I would really love if you're listening to this and you are an Instagrammer and you are on our Instagram page, or if you're not and now you will be and whatever, join us there. I would love to know like what you would want to see on that, like what's beneficial. I feel like weird putting stuff about myself on Instagram. And so maybe that's my biggest hang up.
I think
but
that is our hang up.
But just, I would love, but again, it's a way that we can just like be with you and talk with you and interact with you. And so I think like, I just want to know, well, what, like on the other end, the person on the other end of this conversation, like what would they want to talk about? What would they want to see? So like, I would love for you to text me or email me, or when you see me here at church or around, just like if you think about it, what are things on Instagram that you would find helpful or interesting or just fun? I would just love to know what you guys think about that. I could use your help. So.
For sure.
Yeah. Anyways.
Cool.
You know what we didn't do before this?
What did we not do?
We didn't talk about our song spotlight.
Well, I think we're technically still in the intro.
No,
you mean like before we even started?
Recorded.
Yeah, no, that was as you were just talking right there, I was like, I was thinking of what my song is going to be.
Yeah.
Because
we are in a hurry.
We
I don't want to be like, oh, we're in a hurry. But,
no, we're not in a hurry.
But it was like we had to get in here and start.
We were trying to get rolling.
Mm-hmm. We came straight from a meeting and had to get in here and go to keep with time. So I think I have mine.
Okay.
Yeah, but we might have already done it, but I feel like we've said that every single time.
Yeah, it
No.
happens.
I've not done it. This is the one I was going to do. I feel like, thank you, Lord, for reminding me.
Thank you.
This song was what I was debating on doing before. Here we go. Maybe.
Man, I heard a really good song the other, you know how
I got it.
You know how sometimes like, you're just listening to a song, but then, like it'll just roll into a song, it just starts playing another song. Mm-hmm. And I heard this song and I think I was mopping the floor and I was like, man, I need to see what song this was. And then I forgot. I lost it.
Oh, well, I've got mine.
Great.
This is the one that I was debating on the other day. But this song, again, random. It's just the way that I find new music and new great songs is just taking advantage of the Apple playlist. And so I do that all the time. So this song is called Inhabit by Lakewood Music. And it's just really good and really glorious. But I love the idea of it talking about here, let me just pull this up. So it's like, it's in the way, like to inhabit something, like I just think about God coming in and like just being like he's omnipresent. Great. But then like, there's just there's more of him that you can experience when you're in a posture of like welcoming the more of him in. And so I just love it. But it says, come like the wind, fall like the rain. Oh, Holy Spirit, inhabit this place. We give you the room, Lord, have your way. Oh, Holy Spirit, inhabit our praise forevermore. And Lord, have your way. I sing that every day, especially on the weekends when we're leading service. I just sing that as a prayer, like, Lord, come have your way. Like, Lord, come have your way. This is your house. I would just reiterate that. And I think it's important, and people might think it's repetitive, but that is just like my spirit song, like just my prayer in that room. And when we lead and we're in situations like that, my prayer genuinely is like that, Lord, that you are welcome here. Like, come have your way, like in your house with your people. Like, I don't know, there's just something in my spirit that shifts when I start service, like in that posture of prayer and just like, again, that edifying. But inhabit. That's a song for my song spotlight.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really, really good.
I find it's funny you mentioned that. I find a lot of times I catch myself, I guess it's just the natural thing, is of like I'm either singing or like saying like the phrase like break us down.
I didn't notice that.
I caught myself doing it this weekend because I couldn't sing this weekend, and so I was just, but like I think it's the idea of like, one, in my mind I'm thinking of like walls that could be up, and then two, I'm thinking of like the personal stuff, like what personal distractions things. So it's interesting you mentioned that.
Yeah.
So I found
song?
it. So
Okay,
I started hitting back.
What is
on
it?
What luckily I had. I don't know. You might have talked about this song a long time ago.
Again, we say that all the time.
I know.
What is it?
But we're like 400 songs deep now. So I mean,
we've got a 12-hour.
It's
playlist.
called. It's Deep Dive.
Oh yeah, that's a good song.
Yeah, Deep Dive, SEU Worship,
Yep.
and Sydney.
Yeah.
Hold on, it's got a Sydney James. But yeah, I was just listening
like I
to
want
this
to
song
deep dive into your heart.
Yeah.
That's good.
But like the verse, God, I'm caving.
Yes.
Into your beckoning, I
Yep.
can sense the call of your spirit. It's a still small voice,
but I hear it. Oh, and
Come
her
on.
voice, even in that, is so beautiful.
Lead me in your ways. Breathe
Yeah.
upon my faith. There's a place where there are no limits, and you won't relent till I'm in it.
Yeah.
You don't want a surface relationship. I love that because that's like a very, I don't know, it's not a singy phrase.
Yeah.
But like it's like more of like a real statement. Like,
Yeah.
You don't want a surface relationship. You want more than this. Take me on a deep dive.
It's such
into
a good
your
song.
heart. Yeah.
I
Really
love
good.
that. I love how she sings that. It's a still small voice, but I hear it.
Yeah.
That was my favorite part of that song
Yeah.
when I was on that.
Yeah.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
Good job.
Thank you.
Those are solid songs for a song.
They are. Yeah. I'm just reading these lyrics. Yeah. Cool. All right. So for the last 2 episodes at least, I feel like we have like alluded to, mentioned, hinted at these 2 things that we were at. Yeah. So it would have been really just the end of basically the end of September we were gone.
September was such a fun month for us.
Yeah, it was. It was a good month. But yeah, so we started with, one of the things we got to do was attend Belonging Co. conference in Nashville, Tennessee. You've heard us talk about Belonging Co. probably every episode now. But anyways, we love their conference. They do like a large conference really for anybody, whether you're in church ministry or not. But then as a part of that, they do a smaller conference, which they call Leadership Co., which is specifically designed for people
who work in
ministry. And so we have had the opportunity to attend that the last 2 years. So we did that. I'm sure we've alluded to several different things. I know Brooke talked a little bit last week or last episode on that. And then we also got to take I don't know if you want to call it, it was a work trip, mission trip.
I don't know
how you label it, but it was a trip and down to Panama City Beach to hang out and work with JL and Rochelle Dunahee, who are our good friends and people that are just killing it in the mission field in Panama City, in homeless ministry, outreach, so many cool things and so many just crazy things that are going to come for that ministry. But anyways, we got to go down and partner with them for like 4 or 5 days. And as we were dodging hurricanes and different things like that, but we got to work on some media. We're working on some media stuff for them and different things we're putting together, but then also serving alongside them and also really just, it was a chance. Ministry, and I don't life is hard. Your job, I'm sure is hard. And so I don't ever want it to seem like only this, like only ministry. But ministry is just straight up hard.
Yeah.
And it's heavy. And it was really good to just simply go down and encourage them, because this is still a fairly new thing for them. And being in, they literally sold everything and moved and have revolve their whole lives around this, just like that. And so really just, they are experiencing and starting to experiencing some of the difficulties and the weight and the heaviness of that just comes with being in ministry, some of the attacks and the things. And so it was good to just be able to encourage them even in that. But anyway, so we got to do that, and just two very different trips, but
both so fulfilling,
but both just like so
just
good. Yeah,
very
so good.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't even know
where to start. Well, we'll start Belonging Co. because that happened
order,
first. Yeah. So I always just receive. I the first year we went, I remember having just like a marking moment with just the presence of God during worship one night. And I just knew going back that I would experience him again, like in some capacity. And it was so cool because we just did. And so it's so good to like go to a place that you feel like seen and heard and affirmed in the way that you think about doing ministry. Because it can be, it's just people doing church. And so ministry can get very conflicting because our flesh can get so involved. And so it's just, I don't know, there's just something about when you feel in yourself like, am I really cut out for this? Like, do I really want the same things? Like, do I really see it that way? Do I really want to work towards that? Do I really want to go this direction? And then, you feel like you pray and you have these, I don't know, like ideas of how certain things, could be done, should be done, handled, created, built, what you could do or not do. I don't know, like that's ministry. You're just always building things, I feel like, which is partially why I like it so much. But Belonging Co, there's just this, they give words to things I feel in my spirit as a leader in ministry. And it's kind of cool to have people outside of your church with the perspective that's unifying, because you're like, okay, this is the capital C church, like, and it takes you outside of just Central is our home church and it's where we work, and so it's like that is obviously vastly the perspective that we have regarding ministry and structure, communication, building things, just all of it. So when you go somewhere else and you are seeing like, oh, they do that too, or like, oh, like you're gaining this wisdom from these leaders who you trust, and you're like, okay, like they think that too. Like it's just affirming when you're in ministry, and it can be very isolating, and then you question if it's the right thing to do or not, or the right way or not, or whatever, especially in the hard situations in ministry, especially when you're dealing with people, and relationships, and that can be really challenging. And then you think, well, it's church. Am I being mean? Like, is that ungodly of me if I have a boundary here? And I know people in ministry know what I'm talking about. People who don't, you're just like, what is she even getting at? But it's like when you go somewhere and somebody else is like, no, like this is how you handle a situation like that. And you can still be honoring to the Lord and honoring to just like these biblical principles and loving, not judging, but yet like, and it's just like, okay, like there's certain situations that, you think, oh, I handled that, I think the best way I could. And then you might doubt and you're like, oh, I don't know, did I do that right? And then you go somewhere else out of state. And then they're like, talking about leadership and ministry and these situations and scenarios, and then they're speaking wisdom into it and giving advice and pouring in, and you're like, oh my gosh, like we did get it right, And then there were some times where we were able to be like, okay, that's a really good piece of wisdom that I'm taking for the next time that like a situation like that comes up. And so all of that to say, it was just really encouraging to go somewhere and feel like, okay, this church we love and respect in the back end, or, of what we can see. And then to find out on the back end that they're doing things like with honor and integrity and hard things too, but in the best way they know how. That's kind of lining up to kind of, what maybe where we fall and all of that. It's just it's just affirming and encouraging that it's like, okay, let's keep trugging along here. Like
Yep.
we're going in the right direction. So that was a huge takeaway for me. And it was just I selfishly and personally, like I needed to hear all of those things and to receive that and to kind of gain that perspective.
Yeah. What I have really, I think why I've loved going the last 2 years is, and hear me as I say this, it is such a time of real filling for me, because it is not that I don't get filled and not that I don't have opportunities to do that, but it is just there are very few opportunities that I feel like I get the chance to just be.
Yeah. That's what I think you need to.
And
yeah. Just I get where you're like, hear me what I'm saying.
Yeah.
No, but you're right. Like the position, all that's required from you and the role that you have very few opportunities to go somewhere and not be the leader or not have a job to do or not have any way to help or to, whatever, like to go somewhere where you're not needed and that your only responsibility is to sit and absorb and follow the agenda that someone else has made and created for you. Like that experience, like we're always on the back end of those. And so it is good to feel like, like I can come to this conference or these services and I don't have a clue of what's going on and I don't need to. I'm just here to sit and to be and to receive. And that is important. And I think more leaders need to do that. And we have pastor friends who come to Central on Friday nights even, who lead church on Sunday at their home churches elsewhere, who are like, sometimes it's just good for us to like just escape for a minute and come to Central on Friday, get filled up. Like, there's nothing wrong with that.
No.
Like it's healthy to be, and if we're all the Capital C Church anyways, like a building is a building, but so you come to Central on Fridays and then you go pastor your church, your building, your congregation on Sunday. And I think that that's a huge blessing.
There's a lot of it just shows a lot of wisdom on their part.
Yeah, and I think you can avoid burnout. I think you can avoid bitterness. I think you can lead better because you are supernaturally filled with just this restorative spirit from God when you sit in His presence, and things that need broken off get broken off, and ways you need refined. You need refined perspective that you didn't have because it came from somebody else is growing you. Like, I mean, it only helps us grow.
Yeah.
And I think that a healthy leader prioritizes getting filled up, and a healthy leader to lead well takes opportunities to not lead.
Yeah.
And I think that that's really important.
Yeah. And so that's just such a huge part of it for me. And it's, and what it's not, I like to be challenged and I want to be challenged. And, I feel like some people maybe can get insecure when, they're a little bit in over their head. You know what I mean? Like when there's just clearly I would like to be around people that I know are just clearly farther along than me. You know, like they have experienced things that I haven't. They have learned things. They've been taught things. The Holy Spirit has revealed things to them that, you know, I mean, and to sit under their teaching or to sit under them leading worship or, you know, and that is, like I gained so much from that, you know, of just, it's a challenging thing of like, oh, okay, you know, watching like how other worship leaders facilitate moments and things, and not that, but it's like, it's good to sit underneath people that do it well, because it's just, I think we often think it's so much about learning something and then learning how to repeat it, but it's more so, I think, learning how to develop that relationship, and then that relationship is just flowing out in those moments of leading. You know, it's not about like, oh, I've got this talking moment in my head that I'm going to do at this point. And if, you know, that might happen, whatever, but it's just good to sit under, like, as people are leading you in worship, you're also just seeing the pouring out of how they've been filled up either in their quiet time or, you know, whoever is they're learning from and mentoring or getting mentored by. And then it's just an opportunity to see, like, okay, that's how they are pouring out what they've been filled up with. So now that I'm being filled up and taking, like, what am I now able to pour out because of what I've taken in? And just the challenging of being in just different environments in general is, I love that. And I want that. And so, you know, being really put in, like, I want to be made to feel uncomfortable, you know, because, like, even if, you know, we go to church, if I go to, like, even if I just attend a service here, like, there's not a place in the world I'm more comfortable at than Central, you know, like, because it's my home. It's that's that. And so it's easy for me to just feel very comfortable there. And so to get put in environments and situations and being led by people in different ways, and to be put in things that, you know, push me, challenge me, make me uncomfortable. And like that, I think that's all really good. And I like that. And I want to seek out more opportunities for that. But that's just, I love going there because it's an opportunity for me to sit, be still, to just receive, my mind is not thinking about anything other than just, like, hey, I'm just a guy with however many 5,000-10,000 other people that are just sitting here, you know, encountering the same presence and just receiving how God wants me to receive. And so, yeah. And I mean, just the teachers they bring in are just so good. Two of them I was unfamiliar with.
And they were awesome.
And they were great. Yeah. I mean, I had no doubt that they would be, but, you know, and that's cool, because then it's like, I mean, last year we went to Blanco. I came out with
Daryl,
with my boy Daryl. And, I mean, seriously, in the last year, I mean, gosh, last year I left feeling challenged to get richer and deeper in my Bible and my Bible knowledge, not just in, like, memorizing, but like really, and that was because of, I mean, that, and for the last year I've been almost.
You went from one Daryl book to the next Daryl book.
I've read three Daryl books in a year.
It's amazing.
I mean, one of them was you know, on Revelation, and another one on Ephesians, and those were just, I mean, good. Gosh, those are both on the website, and I can't recommend those books enough. Another one on the Lord's Prayer, which really, like, if you wanted to read two books coincided, read Praying Like Monks, Living Like Fools, and then read Daryl's book on the Lord's Prayer. I'm blanking on the name of that, but I don't know if it's on the website, but we can post the name of it. But it's, I want to say it's like 50 powerful words or something like that. I don't know. You'll Amazon it, you'll find it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I left that, and I mean, I feel like obviously I'm not perfect, but like, this year has been, I mean, such a growing year in that. And now I've left this year feeling very challenged in, like, okay, like, I need to keep growing in my biblical knowledge and keep growing in that depth and deeper in that. And then now it's also like, okay, now I want to, like, I feel more challenged on listening and hearing from the Holy Spirit, and what are the ways, like, I know that I hear from God and I can talk to God, you know, so, like, what are the ways that I hear? What are the ways that I receive? How does the Holy Spirit pour out of me? You know, like, what are the things, am I reflecting, you know, fruits of the Spirit? Am I, you know, all those kind of things. And it's like, I'm trying to be much more, just push myself.
Yeah,
in
that's
that.
good. Well, and speaking of pushing yourself and challenging yourself. That is always one of my favorite things about going to Belonging Co conference, is because you're in an atmosphere where that's exactly what happens. And it's like, they are who they are. They believe what they believe. They do what they do. And they don't really pay too much heed to those in the room that are unfamiliar with the way that they do things. They are always like, we'll welcome you in, but like, we're not going to shift how we do church because there's like a plethora of people here who don't do church that way. And I respect that, because there are a lot of places you can go where they may or may not do certain things because of like, I don't know how people would receive that. And so sometimes when you're in ministry and you're making these decisions on services or conversations or implementations or whatever, like, you're thinking about the massive people that you lead, and you're thinking about, well, what would their response be to this, and would people be uncomfortable? So like, if they are, like, what changes should we make? And I think there's a lot of wisdom in thinking about that. I also believe there's a lot of wisdom in teaching people boldly about these things that you believe and that you practice as a Christian or as a church, or because the Bible says so. And, if you're uncomfortable, like, let's walk you through that. Let's not be surprised if there's confusion or offenses, but like, because the enemy loves that. So it's like, let's teach on this. Let's normalize this. Let's talk about this. Let's put it in a conversation. And the world right now needs a bold word about the gospel. The world right now is in a situation where they need people to be boldly honest about the things of God. And bold isn't bad. And there's just ways to do bold. I think that's godly, that's wise, that's honoring. And that might be counterintuitive to maybe what the world says boldness is. And I'll write a book about that one day. But I just think that it is a good thing for us to be bold in how we teach what we believe. And like, there were situations where, even saying this, like, there are people going to be listening to me like, what? But like, there was a prayer moment in service one night that was really powerful. And they asked a question, and I don't even know exactly what the question was. But then like, the people who, that connected with or needed prayer on that or whatever were to just like raise their hand, or, if they wanted to stand up, they could stand up, or whatever it was. And it had to do with like, do you remember? It doesn't matter. It does matter, but not for the sake of the story. But it was really powerful because it was like one of those things, like, say it was something about like receiving, like, I don't know, like, if someone was like, okay, if you need healing in the room right now, raise your hand. If you're contending for healing, raise your hand, right? Mm-hmm. And then you have these people raising your hand. Okay, you've got people in this room contending for healing from God. And what happens is like the invitation to lay hands and pray. And then, so not only would that maybe make some people uncomfortable depending on their background or culture or what they're used to, the laying on hands and whatever, but that's what they're being instructed to do by Henry or whatever. Mm-hmm. And then it goes so forth. Henry says, if you have your heavenly language, if you pray in tongues over this person, that the Lord's will would be done, whatever, like it's biblical. And there's praying in tongues is a whole thing, I think, in the church that's got a big question mark around it. And sometimes people are uncomfortable about it. And some people, believe certain things about it and others. And it's just one of those, like, for whatever reason, like radical, like tension points in the church. And it was just so funny because, I've been in environments where people literally would have been like, what? And then like an environment like that where there are definitely people, I'm sure, who were just like, what is he talking about? And then, but he still gave the invitation. And then, you do, some people around you who are praying, like, you begin to hear their heavenly language. And then for someone who might not have received that or don't understand that, or they don't believe in it. Like to be in this environment all of a sudden that they've already felt safe, they've already felt the presence of God, they've already had encounters themselves, and now they're in an environment where like people are doing things that they're not even sure they really believed in. They've read about it, but they've never seen it. They've heard about it, but they've never experienced. And because of a pastor being bold in his faith to be like, this is a biblical thing, and we are praying, and all these things, it was just a huge learning moment for me as a leader, and especially in a way of just like, again, of that biblical boldness, like of like, if he says do it, do it. And if people don't know, teach them. If people aren't experienced with it, just give them the invitation, whatever. And I don't know if that thought is making sense, mm-hmm. if I'm explaining that well enough, but that was a huge takeaway for me with that worship experience that night. And especially when people were in our group were raising their hands. And then you're just like, like my friends are contending for these things. Mm-hmm. And so then you're just like, you welcome whatever, because you're like, God, I don't understand, but have your way, or you're like, maybe laying hands on people is uncomfortable, but then you're like certainly thankful for those who are comfortable with it. Mm-hmm. And because you're like, but because these are my people, and I want them to be healed. I want them to be whole. I want them to experience God however they need to experience God, to receive the things that they're asking him for. And I don't know, there was just a childlikeness about it that I pray I always operate in when it comes to things that I don't fully understand. That's in the Bible.
Yeah, I think that I appreciate their unapologetic nature.
Yes.
And it's not in a
cocky way or
it's
anything
not in a rude
yucky.
way.
No,
it's not in a like get on our level or get out.
Yeah.
But it's just like there's a confidence behind it, mm-hmm. and there's an authority behind it. And
it's contagious.
And I appreciate that it's like we're not going to, like, we are fully aware that there are probably going to be moments and things that are going to make somebody uncomfortable, maybe even offended.
Yeah.
And we're not in it to offend.
Yeah.
But like, we believe Scripture says this. We believe this. Mm-hmm. We've seen God do this. Mm-hmm. And so mm-hmm. we are going, like, mm-hmm. we're confident in this. Mm-hmm. And so we're going to operate mm-hmm. in the way that we feel mm-hmm. the Holy Spirit has told us mm-hmm. to operate. And, we're not doing it to be outlandish, or we're not doing it
to be judgmental, or we're not doing
better
it to,
we're not trying to, we're not purposely trying to offend for the sake of being wild mm-hmm. and offensive, but
or holy and righteous.
Because I think that you can see that sometimes mm-hmm. in like there's like a church thing of like, oh, there's like, we're just going to be offensive to, like, I don't care if I offend you, and if you're offended, then whatever, and but there's that. I think there's drums being played.
It's Kurt.
Yeah.
What's up, Kurt?
Yeah. There's Wednesday.
Yeah, if you can hear it, that's our buddy Kurt.
He's
love
setting
him.
up the drums. So if you hear drums in the background.
But I will say, oh my gosh, there's just so much about this. It's a whole other episode, and I'm checking the time because I'm like, I gotta get my kids from school. But like mom life, yeah. But I think that's another cultural thing, is for so long, like, Christians were getting this rap of like, we're too judgmental, we're not loving, we're not welcoming, people must be this way and this way and this way, and then people were confidently like walking away from the church or Christianity or Jesus because they're like, well, that's not love, and I've never felt more judged than from those who are whatever. Mm-hmm. And then you have this shift in our culture where it was like Christians were then like, okay, well then, like, to be loving and warm and welcoming, like, we don't make people uncomfortable, we don't want to hurt feelings, we don't want to be offensive, and and then it's like we get sinful because like we lose all sight of holiness and righteousness and reverence and the reverence of the word of God. Yeah. And so then it's like, okay, so now like I'm like, okay, how can we be a church? how can we be a people who balance both of those parts of the spectrum? Like we've so boldly, how do I say? We've been so like off balance.
The teeter-totter has gone both ways.
Yes, it has. And so now I'm like, we need to level this out. And it's just like, there's something so important about, truly believing who God says that he is, and being confident, and especially politically, like being confident in like what we are for and what we are against. And what we're against is because of its nature, which is sin, and which is the enemy. And it's just like, my grandma, I mean, we all have heard it say like, hate the sin, not the sinner, right? Like, but like, it's true. Like, if we look and have compassion, that's what I think we lack for people. Like, you see people trapped in this world of sin and this world of like ungodliness. And then it's like, but my heart for you should be, I should have a compassion for these people to be like, I have what you need to be free from that. Like the Spirit of God is the only thing that can help you in this situation. And like there's a compassion there, not a judgment there, but a very fine line between like, just kind of being like, this is Jesus, but like, I love you where you are. And you're just like, but that's not doing anybody any favors. No. Like, it's just, that's not the gospel. So that's a whole other thing. I'm sorry, but we've got to talk about a whole other thing. But there's a lot to be said about that.
It's just like, there's an urgency.
Yeah.
Like, and there needs to be. That's what I feel, at least. Like, I feel an urgency to, like, I don't know. I know we talk about this a lot, especially leading. Like, you just want so badly
for people to
get it and to know.
Yeah.
And it's just like, it is heartbreaking sometimes, because you're like, you can just see somebody pass up
opportunities.
The opportunity,
which we talked about that last episode. Like that happens to all of us all the time.
Yeah.
But I mean, you're so right, and it's just like you can know because you've heard, but then it's like, but my prayer is that like you come to know him because you've experienced him. And like once you've experienced him, it just changes everything. And then it just postures you like a child when you're like, I don't need to know, and I don't even know all the ins and outs of all of this stuff, but I know what I experienced. I know what he did. I know where I was before and where I am now. And like, I can't explain it, but it is the realest thing in the world. And then like you get this growing compassion for people that to me outweighs like possibly offending them, because they're offended by the truth. And it's just like, but I would rather take the gamble here and tell you what you need to hear, and tell you the truth about God and the power of his presence and the things that come with him, and the authority we can walk in, and the healing we can receive, the deliverance we desperately need. And I would rather take a gamble and tell you that, and the chance that out of my compassion for you, you would hear me, and that you would walk in it, or ask questions, or believe it for yourself, for God to change your life, than and over like you being upset that I offended you with something that maybe made you uncomfortable. And that's a really like hard thing to walk sometimes. But the more I get to know God and the more I experience him, I think it just diminishes like any kind of people-pleasing nature that I have within me. But again, like there needs to be wisdom in that, but it's also like, I don't know.
And I think as we are maturing in that, it is also realizing how much Satan's deception plays into those feelings.
Yeah.
Of like, that's too much. Don't do that.
Yeah.
Or don't say that.
Yeah.
That's gonna do that.
Yeah.
That's gonna offend them.
Yeah.
And it's like, that's just
BS
from Satan. Sorry, did I say that? Whoops.
Oh my gosh.
Our first beep on YouTube.
Oh my gosh. Eric.
Oops.
Anyways,
I was getting fired up.
Talking
over here,
about refining.
I'm getting there.
We all need it.
I was getting amped over here.
You're really funny. So speaking about getting amped, let's talk about Salty Farm Ministry. So The last thing we're going to talk about for this episode was letting you in on the trip that we went to for Salty Farm Ministries. And if you're from Central, you've probably heard about this ministry before. You probably met JL and Rochelle. You probably have merch that we could, like, you purchase, and like it goes towards literally feeding these their friends on the streets that they call in, and which is just powerful. And so, anyways, we just love them so much, and they're just incredible people. So we go down to PCB, and the hurricane came like Wednesday or something. So we were supposed to fly out Wednesday. We didn't. And then we also didn't fly out Thursday.
I wanted to, but nobody else did.
Yeah. And so we finally got to fly out Friday. So we went on a Friday, got in kind of late, and then we were able to visit with them. We were able to do a lot of content. So of course, photography, I think that was a really great thing to have, just great photos to put on your socials to help tell the story of your ministry for people who haven't been in there in person, and you're trying to I don't know how to communicate the heart of this mission on socials. And so of course we're well, let's get some photos and video content and grow the ways that you have to I don't know, resources to give to they're meeting with governmental people. They this is a legit thing. And so we were able to go down and film some stuff of what they're doing, of what their events look like. We were able to interview a few of their friends who were willing to share what the ministry meant to them. That was boy. I did one and I couldn't do anymore.
Yeah.
I literally was weeping, and Caden, oh sweet Caden, he's tenderhearted, and he is I love that he is sensitive, and he was recording this interview, and this is the one that I kind of got in on, and we were done, and I was just honestly weeping, and I was just ready. I literally looked at him and I was like, I can't do any more of these. I can't do this. And, he just totally understood, but it was just the testimonies you hear, when you hear for these people that this is, when it hits the reality of this is their everyday life, this is the reality. These are the barriers that these people have, and you see the genuine impact that JL and Rochelle are having because of their yes to the call that God had to these people. And they're just literally being the church outside the church, which is their heart. And they always say the church has left the building, and so they're really out in the streets. And they served 170 some people or something that weekend. Homeless people. It's just so crazy. And Florida, while we were down there, they passed a law that basically it was illegal to be homeless in Florida, but I feel like they even passed another law that did something. JL was talking about it. I don't understand all of it, but it was, again, just the system almost working against the people who are homeless. And so JL and Rochelle, with their mission in their heart, they're well, here's all this that we're trying to do. And then you're but it's just this crazy broken system because it's illegal to this. And then you think that they get on drugs, and then they're homeless, and really they're homeless because they lost their job, and then it's illegal to be homeless. And so to stay up in the night, that's when they get on drugs. And it's just it's just this crazy, sad thing that you just don't know until you're there. You don't know until you're educated in it, and you don't really have a heart for it or a compassion for it until you really meet people who that's their reality. And I definitely realized how closed-minded I was to, that type of need. And even I don't know, just how people get in those situations, and then the lack of help that you have to even get out of it. And so we got to lead worship at a few of their little what do they call it? Just these service nights, outreach nights. And so we kind of had a worship tent, set the environment, but people were getting haircuts, and they had rehab facilities teams available to take people in. And one night we were there. One of their friends went to rehab to get clean, and so that was huge. And so they had this medical truck for all these things, and they have clothes and shoes and food. They feed them every night, and they do communion, they pray, they have Bible study. It's just really impactful, the things that they're doing. And so if you want to follow them, you can look them up on Facebook. You can look them up on Instagram. Salty Farm Ministries is their name. And you're going to want to just follow along and see all the
they've
goodness.
They've got an auction going on
right now. Yeah.
I
don't know when that closes for when this releases, but
I think it'll still be.
But either way,
you can donate. They're trying to get a shower trailer.
I was going to say, tell them about the shower truck.
Yeah,
and ways they can help.
So they right now their ministry is mainly like a feeding ministry. You know, they're doing meals, things like that, resources in that way, first aid kits, things like that. Socks are a big deal there, and that sort of thing. But their goal, their next thing that they're trying to get is a shower truck. It's kind of a shower / catering truck, but this would allow their friends to have an opportunity to get a shower. There would also be kind of a laundry type facility in there. They could do some laundry. And I mean, we all know, like after a hard day, whatever, the best thing, at least what I look forward to a lot, is like I start my day and I end my day
with a shower. I'm the same way.
And so,
yeah, for sure.
I mean, we know, like there is just something like that's where like there's just kind of like a resetting and honestly, like just a healing kind of thing about a hot shower. And so, that's, they want to give their friends on the street that opportunity. And that's being clean. I mean, that's, again, a lot of these, like
getting jobs,
despite what people think, a lot of these people are actively trying to get jobs.
Yeah.
And it's hard to do when you can't get clean, and when you're, jobs are not, they're trying to get fast food jobs, different things. It's hard to do that when, you don't have access to showers. And so they are working, they're trying to raise, it's tens of thousands of dollars to do this. And so that's what they're working on. They've got an auction going. If it's not right now, then you just missed it. Just give anyways.
Yeah, I was going to say, you can just reach out.
If you go to Salty Farm Ministries, you can find how to give directly to the shower trailer.
Yeah.
But I really want to see them get that.
Me too.
Soon.
They will. I'm confident
they
that
will.
they will.
I have no doubt they're going to. I just want to see it happen really fast.
Yeah. Do you? I don't know if you remember this, but they were doing haircuts, and there was a lady who got done getting her hair cut, and she was just like moving her hair, and she's like, "Oh my gosh, I just feel so much better." And JL heard her say that, and he looked at me and he said, "Just think how much better she'll feel, like, if she can just shower and clean, and I'll get clean and all that." And it was just kind of wild because it's like, a fresh haircut, girls, I don't know, Eric got a haircut, he could tell you, but it's just like fresh haircuts feel good. And so then it's just like, for her to just be so, all of them, they were so grateful, and it felt so good just to get a haircut. And then you're just like, wow, like imagine like the game changer it would be for them to just feel like clean, just to get a shower. And then we take 2 a day, Eric, like it's just like, we get it. And so I don't know, just, it's just
they're real, and JL and Rochelle are legit.
They're legit. They're the real deal.
Like,
they're the real deal.
Yeah. And so, I know we need to wrap up, but we got to lead worship on the beach.
Yes, that was so great.
And that was
so powerful.
they had a night basically to appreciate. They have a really cool group of volunteers that serve with them.
Great volunteers.
And so we got to do a worship night really specifically just to kind of pour into them, because as we've already talked about, they're always pouring out in these situations. So they wanted to have an intentional time to just for them to not have to serve, just to be poured into. And it's hard to get a much better setting than the beach as the sun sets. To
shofars
blowing literally in the wind. So it was a great trip. They're doing great things. We would highly encourage you if you're looking to sow into a ministry.
Yeah, that's a legit place to
Salty
do so.
Farm Ministries is for sure a legit thing. They have real, God is going to make it happen for them one way or the other.
Yeah.
But
We're
it's just one of those things that like you want to be a part of this because it is something that God is doing. And so I'm really, really happy for them, really excited for them, and can't wait to go back.
So proud of them. We can't wait to get back. And I can't wait for them to, Caden is an anointed creator. And so like he just has a gift, and I don't know. He's making these videos, and it's just like I'm already prepared to weep at all the ones that he said.
It's gonna be,
and
you haven't even seen.
I'm not ready, but they're gonna be amazing, and so I just can't wait for you guys to see them and to I don't know, get a glimpse of their heart and their ministry and their friends, actually, the outreach team, they're flying back today. So Randy, Phoebe, Hayden, and James got to go, and they were serving for a few days. So it's just, it's also really sweet that JL and Rochelle always say, Central is our sending church. That's our church home. They go to church in PCB, and they bring church to PCB for their friends and all these things, but they will still tell everybody that Central is their home church. And so I think it's so cool because we've had families just on their own, just connect with them and go serve a few days. And, the staff, slowly, surely have gotten to go and see. John, I think's on the board. We are truly behind and supportive of this ministry and can't speak highly enough. And so if you want to know anything else about it, we're very passionate to talk about and to share their heart and their vision. And for sure, if you're listening to this and you have an extra $100 to Venmo them or more than that, and if, the Spirit leads you to sow, please sow.
How cool would it be if somebody that listened to this podcast just gave what they needed?
That'd be
to
so
get
cool.
The shower trailer.
It would be incredible. But God could do it.
I know He can.
Yeah.
So I'm saying,
kingdom people doing
somebody
kingdom
out
things.
there watching this that could just cut a $50,000 check.
Yeah. Wow.
I wish it was me.
I'd
have to take out a loan to do it, but I don't know if that's godly.
Hey, but you know what? One day. Anyways, well, we got to wrap up, but
we do.
Love y'all.
We do. It's been good.
Yeah.
Again, subscribe. Let's get to 100. That'd be cool. Follow us on Instagram.
And tell us what you want to see on the gram.
Yeah, tell us what you want to see on the gram. I'm such a big social media guy now. So
can we just talk about this? Every reel this man has made for our socials has looked infinitely different to me, and it drives me crazy. But then I can't say anything about it because I don't know how to make a reel either.
Just keeping it fresh.
Yeah, and I'm just the lack of consistency. I'm you didn't even capitalize the G in God multiple times.
No, I didn't have a choice on that. That was Instagram. I saw that and it bothered me, and I looked into trying to fix it.
But it capitalizes Jesus.
It did. It did at least get that right back. And I almost didn't do it because I thought this is bad. It really kind of is, but I was I didn't know how to fix it, and I didn't have control over it.
Yeah, it's okay, it's fine, but just give us a break.
Yeah, added to the list of things. I've cussed today, and I've lowercase the G.
We need help. We need refinement.
Of the Praise Podcast.
At least you guys are here with us to help us through.
Yeah.
So,
and I feel like I'm excited to watch this because I intentionally tried to slouch less today.
That's okay. I'm slouched today.
No, that's okay. But you called me out on my slouching.
Shocker. That's so unlike me.
Thanks for being with us. Go to the website.
Love y'all.
Send us an email. Join in the conversation. We love y'all. Appreciate y'all. Let's be people in every day, every way. Bring the praise. See you next time.